You can sit, Finley. You can have a seat. But there's been a lot of talking already today. So just a short thought before we can go on with Musaf in just a moment. So the holiday of Hanukkah, there's a lot of debates that we talk a lot about. And I think the one I've been going for a lot this holiday is the debate about whether the mitzvah is lighting or placing the menorah, the Chanukiah in the window. Okay, what's another famous debate? Famous means I've heard of it before, but what's a famous debate about the Chanukiah and lighting of the Chanukiah? Anyone? Which direction do you go? Or the new one, or the this, or the that? Okay, that's a good one. Hillel and Shammai have a famous one. Again, that just means I've read it before. But the debate that Hillel and Shammai have is, I'm seeing some nods. Who wants to shout it out? Right. Do you start on 8 candles and take one away? Or do you start with 1 candle and add 1 each night? Right? This is like I say it to you, right? You think to yourself, what are they, crazy? Of course you do 1, 2, 3, right? Because we're so ingrained in that. What's the debate about? Right? We always say it's about increasing light or decreasing light, or okay, fine, right? Maybe, probably, by the way, it's about Sukkot. Because essentially Hanukkah is a redo for Sukkot. Because the Israelites, when they were in the middle of this big civil war, or not civil war, depending, right, that they missed Sukkot over the course of that. And so the Hanukkah, the rededication of the temple, is sort of a redo of Sukkot, so actually the debate about the candles is, are we doing the same? If you recall, what do we do for sacrifices on Sukkot? We start with, it was like 100, and whatever it is, it's whether we are going in the way that the sacrifices in which we add cows each day versus not. But the other piece of this that comes to us still in our tradition is the idea that we actually lied to you all about tshuva. Because what did we say? That the last moment that you can do tshuva is on Yom Kippur at Ne'ilah, right? But everyone agrees that's not true. Everyone agrees that you really have until Hoshana Rabbah, right? That the gates of repentance are open actually until Hoshana Rabbah in the middle of Sukkot. But say mostly the Hasidic rabbis, but others as well, actually you have until Hanukkah. Why do you have until Hanukkah? Because maybe it's a redo of Sukkot, and that's why. But so the gates of tshuva have been open all of this time, that you could still do repentance, and that it ends at Hanukkah, which is a kind of a beautiful idea, not only because it gives us more time, and who doesn't need more time, but also it says something about the way tshuva can be done. So one of our Hasidic rabbi who, actually I think this might be the first time I've quoted him, but it's a favorite of mine. You'll get to know him over the years, I hope. Reb Yaakov of Hosiatin, who is he's a Hasidic rabbi living in Tel Aviv in the 1930s. Fascinating things to say. We'll talk more about him another time. But he writes or says that there are Shabbat people and Hanukkah people. And Shabbat people are people who like rules, who can handle the sort of rules and the responsibilities. They work hard to be, made of certain stuff, right? And that Hanukkah people can really only handle a little bit. And that's all that they can do. And he learns this from 2 ways. One is the idea of for Shabbat candles, right? There's all kinds of rules about what the candles can be made out of and where they can be lit and how, and the different oils you could use, or the wax, or the this or that, et cetera. And Hanukkah candles, other than it can't be electric, according to David Zvi Kalman, and I believe him. But other than that, there's no rules about what kind of light, what the candles are made out of and how and what, et cetera. And so it's a slightly easier holiday to access. And what I love about this idea is that, so then Rabbi Yaakov goes on to sort of say, it's not that Hanukkah people are bad. It's just that it's easier for them to enter Judaism through a holiday that doesn't have all the restrictions, that isn't as hard to do. You light these candles, there you go, Chag Sameach, have a latke, right? It's an easier way into it. And I think there's actually a parallel to be drawn with tshuva as well. Because again, going back to this idea of lighting one candle, then two candles, then three candles, of giving ourselves more time to do tshuva and repentance, is a beautiful acknowledgement that we can't all get everything done by Yom Kippur, right? Even the deadline of Hoshana Rabbah might be a little bit too soon, and to give people a chance to have more time to do tshuva, but also the idea to allow people to do tshuva in a somewhat easier way. Right? To work yourself into it. Start out by being a Hanukkah person, and that's totally fine. And then maybe you'll be a, Rosh Chodesh person, and then a Shabbos person. And then, right, the idea that we can actually step things up incrementally, and that tshuva is not an all or nothing proposition, right? By the way, and of course, Judaism is not an all or nothing proposition. The rabbis tell us, right, that every mitzvah is its own mitzvah, every avera is its own avera, right? If you're eating the bacon, it's not like, well, you might as well add shrimp sauce to it. I don't know if that's good or not. It sounds kind of gross to me. But right, each avera each sin is its own sin. Each good deed is its own good deed. It's not a like, well, since I don't do this, I might as well not do anything, right? Or since I did one, I guess I have to. Each time takes effort, and each time is important. Each good deed we do is good. Each good deed we can do helps. And I want to end with the idea then that letting ourselves do a little bit at a time is okay. That's the lesson of Hanukkah. It's a lesson that we read, by the way, a little bit even we read in the Joseph story too, of the way that the brothers kind of incrementally come back sort of to one another. But I want to finish with the idea then, as we light our candles and we're ending up with a full shelf of light, a reminder that the gates are still open for another couple of days of tshuva. You thought that they were closed, but you have some more time. And even if you can only do a little bit, that's enough. Shabbat shalom.